Down in the lobby, he recognized Henry, who was playing with his cell phone, probably to kill the last few minutes. Nikolai walked up to him. "Hey, you're already here." Henry glanced up, startled, then gave him a warm, oddly heartfelt smile. "Nikolai. Yes, I thought, I didn't want to be late. There's been a change of plans. I don't think anything could revive Tomas that's allowable under the Geneva Conventions." Henry looked concerned. "Is he all right?" "Yes, just dead tired. We've been working pretty hard, but he worked the hardest. I think the most humane thing is just to let him sleep." "How about you?" "Oh, I'm fine. I'm a night owl." "I don't want to make you come out when you'd rather stay in." Nikolai shook his head. "Seriously, I'm good. Just lead the way." Henry motioned him outside and stepped up to a silver sports car that looked as if it could take off like a rocket. The door slid up and stood vertically. Nikolai levered himself into the car, which was awkward at his size. No way it could be easy for a woman in heels either. But once he was inside, there was a surprising amount of legroom, and the molded leather seats held him so comfortably he wasn't sure he wanted to get up again. Henry slid the door shut behind him and walked around the car, then opened up the door on the driver's side. The middle console was high enough to comfortably rest an arm on, and it led right into a panel that looked like something from a starship. Henry settled and pulled his seatbelt into place. Nikolai copied him, usually comfortable not to wear one, but in this car he figured he'd rather be safe than very squashed. "Where would you like to go?" Henry asked. "This thing probably goes to the moon." "Not on what I have left in the tank." Nikolai laughed and relaxed into the seat. "Wherever. I trust you." "Seafood? Steak? A pub?" "Ideally, nowhere with a dress code." "All right, let's do steak, though they do other things as well." Henry tapped the starship dial thing between them, and the car came alive with a deep, gentle vibration. Nikolai almost laughed at how weirdly sensual that seemed, the sports car purring like a tiger around him. It was probably a huge hit with the ladies, even though Henry didn't look like any of those middle-aged losers with too much money and too little hair who needed a car like this to get laid. "This car considerably shortens foreplay, doesn't it?" Henry stared at him, then laughed. "Do you like high-end cars?" Nikolai wasn't quite sure how Henry had jumped to that conclusion. "I'm more of a Jeep or Land Rover kind of guy myself. This car wouldn't be able to cope with the places I usually travel. Try driving this anywhere in the Armenian outback." Henry nodded. "Well, it's certainly a comfortable way to be in the middle of a classic Toronto traffic jam." He pressed another button. The engine purred louder, sounding eager now, and Henry pulled out of the parking space. And damn it if it wasn't a stylish way to float along the streets. Nikolai leaned back and listened to the engine, and glanced outside the window at yet another strange new city. Why was it that all cities were the same at night? The car was gliding pleasantly along. He should probably make conversation, but, on the other hand, distracting a driver wasn't polite, so Nikolai just let him be. Eventually, Henry pulled into a side street and parked. Damn, this was a nice little car. "It's just your friendly neighborhood steakhouse, but one of my favorite places." The restaurant didn't look like much from the outside, and inside, Nikolai would have been surprised if more than 25 people could fit into the main room. Maybe there was more space in the back, but he somehow doubted it. The few patrons seemed like a good mix. Couples mostly, and a group of young women, 2 of whom looked at him and smiled. Nikolai smiled back, momentarily distracted. He needed to concentrate, though, so he settled with his back to the room.